Welcome to Tejano Virtual Events. Thank you all for coming today. We're going to have some great information to share with you. Today's session is called Hack the Border, Overview and Purpose with Dr. Servin. Before we start our presentation, I would like to quickly mention that this session will be recorded so that you and those who have missed out on today's events will be able to come back and watch it. Also, this event will provide Tejano passport points. We will post the code at the chat at the end of the session. If you have any questions regarding Tejano passport points, please let us know and we will be happy to answer any of your questions. So now at this time, please mute your mics for the best sound experience. Otherwise, the feedback could interfere with the information we are about to share with you. Without any further ado, I will hand it over to our presenter, Dr. Servin. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome. And it is a great pleasure to be here with all of you to introduce Hack the Border. Hack the Border, as you might know or you may not know, is one of our signatures events that we have at EPCC, in particular in the area of computing. So allow me to give you a brief introduction. What is Hack the Border? So as you can see here, Hack the Border was born here in the borderland between El Paso, Texas, Ciudad Juarez, New Mexico, Las Cruces. Of course, this represents, of course, the border that we have, and of course, we have a river that separates both countries. However, we notice that although we have this frontier, it doesn't mean that we don't have a flow of ideas, of knowledge. So the whole idea of Hack the Border is to bridge both ideas from both countries. We use it in terms of computing because that's what we are. We are actually hackers, ethical hackers in the border that lives in these two cities. Here he represents both mountains from both cities and unified by the star or La X, what we know in Ciudad Juarez. So this is our logo. It represents the iconic two mountains that we have here in the border, the X from Ciudad Juarez, but also the star in the mountains in El Paso, Texas. The idea of here to have this purpose, the purpose of have this Hack the Border among the borderline is to join both cultures, both intelligence, and of course under the same purpose to be ethical hackers in the system here of education. So today I'm going to talk about real quick about our vision, why we started this a couple of years ago, and we recognized that there was a couple of areas that were actually emerging. Cybersecurity, of course, we all know that is super important because recognizing cybersecurity elements is not only about making sure your password is safe, but also how your information that you provide to any system, to the cloud, to your cell phone, goes to the secure channels in order to be prepared and safe accordingly. But also we noticed that artificial intelligence 4 or 5 years ago was emerging, was actually coming very, very heavy. Now we know is probably part of our everyday's life. And our vision that we had back then is to create an effort that aims to provide professional development and experiential learning in cybersecurity and AI related topics for non-technical backgrounds to increase cyber and AI awareness and needs. So remember, the work that we do is not for computing or computer sciences. It's for non-technical backgrounds, multidisciplinary, people from English, criminal justice, philosophy, sociology, all of the areas that you think probably that you are a student, you're welcome, because this is the whole idea here is to solve problems that impacts the entire community, the entire disciplines. It's a multidisciplinary with the emphasis to have experiential learning. People say, what is experiential learning? Well, we teach you enough in the classroom, right? But unfortunately, enough is never enough. So we always have to go and teach you more things. So that's why experiential learning means is when you get your hands dirty in the real world experience. So our idea is to develop ethical and professional responsibilities for computer users, which all of us we are. If you're watching this, is because you're using a computer or some kind of system, either your mobile device or a desktop or your laptop. We also need to recognize the need to prepare the future generations of computing users. I know many of you already been using a computer system. Congratulations, but we want to make sure we prepare the future generations. that they have used in it, but now with the ethical responsibilities. And of course, manage technologies and that impact society. We want to make sure everything that we do has an impact that and a good and a beneficial impact for our society in the region. You see the logo of Microsoft in the right hand side because Microsoft was the first funding aspect that we got. Microsoft gave us we wrote a grant and we received a considerable a good amount of money to implement this vision, and we're always being very grateful with Microsoft because they provide us the seed money in order to start this aspect back in 2021. So later on we receive another fund from the National Science Foundation, as you can see here, and the idea was to extend and expand the efforts that we develop in Hack the Border. So the focus of this series is to create what we call adversarial thinking for the border good. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But the idea here is to recognize our talent in both regions, in Ciudad Juarez and El Paso, and create solutions to bring students, educators, and industry leaders from both countries through the collaborations. So this will, the idea is to merge both cities' talent to join issues, to solve the issues, and the solutions for the border good. Now, community calls were developed for various reasons. Hopefully, all of you take some courses, transfer to a university like UTEP and MSU, and then eventually get a master's degree and a PhD. Hopefully, that's what you do. Now, we recognize that life happens, you might need a job, as many of us. So industry is very important. So community college were designed back then to create the solutions for the industry, and we're still doing that. So many of our students, they are prepared as a technicians to go straight to the industry and solve problems. So we wanted to capture that essence and bring it to Hack the Border. So for that, we create professional development workshops every week when we start developing Hack the Border. So professional development means that we bring professionals from industry, from our regional industry aspects, in El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, and Las Cruces, and they give us workshops, things that you haven't learned in the classroom, not because they're not important, it's because there's no time to go in depth. And also, if there's time, we cannot go to the level that professionals they use it. So we bring professionals to show you how to use those tools, those technologies outside of the classroom. How do you apply it? Why? Because we know that it's very important to get a job after you get your associate's degree. So this will help us to help you to create those set of skills. We call them marketable skills or durable skills as well. And another way we can actually enhance that is by creating a binational hackathon. I'm going to talk about hackathon in a little bit, but a hackathon is a competition that we have where it's a 3-day competition where we join people from the borderland, including those 3 cities, from high school students all the way to UTEF, NMSU students, people from UACJ and Ciudad Juarez. We meet here in El Paso Community College in the Valle Verde campus for 3 days, and we provide you a set of skills, a set of panels from professionals, and of course, you work in a 1 day and a half, 2 days and a half um, collaborative environment with other of your peers to solve a problem. So it gives you the best experiential learning you will get. Now, I spoke about the workshops. Let me tell you a little bit more about the workshops. For workshops are very important because it is important to show you this slide with all the flyers that actually we gave every week. So for 10 weeks, as you can see here, we gave every Thursday at 4 p.m. in AST 307, we provide one of these workshops. And usually it's 2 hours long, 1 hour and a half, 2 hours long, where you bring the professionals, they talk about this specific tools. Now, these tools, they help you out to understand what kind of the pieces you will find in the hackathon, which is the magnum event that we have under the fall semester. Usually is 1 week before Thanksgiving, where everybody is in super high mode to solve problems. So we have you this 10 weeks before. we start this series. So you can start collecting the skills every week. And then we also provide this as experiential learning. Experiential learning we start to infuse in many computer science, cybersecurity, and IT courses as a part of your syllabus criteria. So if you go to this and complete these workshops, we give you 1 point for each of these sessions. So that allows the students to be also encouraged to be and experience something outside of the classroom that can help them to develop new skills. Now, some of these workshops, they also provide marketable skills, okay? How to work in team, critical thinking, communication skills, collaboration skills, everything that the industry partners ask us. Every time we meet with them, it's like, oh, you have great students with a 4.0 GPA, but you know what? We need them to talk more to their peers, to their boss, to do management, to how to send emails. So we do infuse those marketable skills into these workshops. That's why they're very, very important. But at the same time, you can see, I'm not sure if you can see the logos down there. We have people who come with high caliber. We come from Microsoft, White Sands, Missile Range in here in New Mexico. And of course, we have the professional association like Association of Computing Machinery and IEEE and El Paso Electric that they help us to bring those workshops. There's a comment. Okay. So I was going to tell you a little bit more about some of the collaborations that we had last year. Last year, we pair up with the National Cybersecurity Training and Educational Center. This is a national center. One of them is one of the three national centers that exist in the United States. Okay, so we pair up because we host a couple of those workshops coming from professionals from different places that are not in El Paso, Texas, or the region. So we have former students who complete the software engineering degree or cybersecurity, and they gave us these cool projects, okay, these workshops that can help you to see things in a different perspective, maybe in a different way from education. So for example, you can see here what we offer last year, defensive and secure coding. You just don't write code that make it work. You write code that is defensive, that prepares you for attacks and other malicious things that might happen. It was a great workshop. Second workshop we have is towards creating your own chatbot from cleaning data to AI design. They show us how to create a very simplistic chatbot and how to use those tools, how to actually create a small one that you can actually use it in the classroom or with your friends. And they show us that a great workshop. And the other one was about capturing networking packages. So there's a tool called Wireshark, and Wireshark helps us to collect packages on transmitting information. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you go to Starbucks or any coffee place or any fast food, when you see something called free Wi-Fi, and again, we always tell this at the very beginning of everything. The purpose of showing you this is for educational purposes, not to go to Starbucks or any of those events and start using those tools because those tools are illegal to use. Okay, but we show you how to use this in an ethical way, not to capture traffic from anywhere else. It's just to protect some networks devices. So they show us a little bit how to use these tools, and of course, how do you transform it? How do you extract information? And how can you use it for the greatest good? So Insight has a great program. So you haven't had the opportunity to go to their website, there's opportunities, there's different fellowships. As a matter of fact, there's opportunities for professional development, continuous opportunities for professional development. I encourage you all to go to Insight Center. Now, let me talk about the hackathon because this is one of the main events that we have here at EPCC. So the hackathon usually is composed of two parts, part A and part B. So part A is when we give you a set of topics where you're gonna actually try to come up with a solution. You can see here in the screen a couple of those topics that they're there. We didn't use many of them. We concentrate in AI generation and cybersecurity this past semester, and the reason why is because that is the main thing that is happening right now. So we give for part A, give you the opportunity to build an artifact to development. So it can be a mobile app, a website, a computer program, something that shows these topics that you see here implemented for the technical aspect. Usually this gives you opportunity for students who are in computer science, cybersecurity, IT, data analytics to explore their skills and showcase their skill, what they have learned in the past 2 years of their education. This is a great opportunity. As a matter of fact, many people come to see those artifacts from the industry because they want to hire you. To say, you know what, we're very interested about what you did in Hack the Border about that mobile app. Is it okay? We hire you as an intern so you can help us to build something else. That have happened 2 times already in the past semester. Now, we understand that sometimes some of those technical aspects are very advanced, so don't worry. We also have the non-technical aspect. The non-technical aspect is for students who like, well, I'm not feel so confident with my programming skills. I'm not feel very comfortable with my coding, with my networking. That's okay. You can still participate in the hackathon. As a matter of fact, if you decide to run for the non-technical track, we ask you to build an artifact that deals with research or data collections, maybe to run some surveys and data analysis of certain things or cases. Many cases happen in real world scenarios. We don't have to be in the position that we've been compromised on our system. It's just matter to go to Google News for any news that you like and see what is happening. There's a lot of cases of study. Bring visual presentation about what is happening, about some potential solution or information pamphlets that you can give to grandma or to your friends. Digital resources that you can provide to communities or even build social media reels. I know you're talking about reels. Yes. Why? Because we notice that many students and many people in general, they pay more attention on reels than an actual book. Okay. I'm not so sure if I'm in agreement with that style, but many people are just more devoted to Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media you like. And we ask you to build some of those cybersecurity or whatever topics to build a reel or some social media aspects and videos. We have had in the past amazing videos and reels that students have developed. And I believe last year we got the first place was one team that created a social media reel. Um, we also asked them to maybe create a podcast episode. We have one team to develop one episode, but they still developing a couple of episodes. They use the EPCC facilities to develop this. So the professor, I know what you're thinking, professor. This might take weeks to develop. 100% in agreement. Excuse me, these situations, they don't these topics is not a surprise. We actually gave you this in advance, 1 month and a half in advance. In other words, we give you these tracks 1 month and a half before the hackathon is. Why? So you can budget, create a team, find your friends in order either to want to go to the technical or the non-technical aspect. So this is something that we have experienced in the past. I think it's a great model. As a matter of fact, we have publication in journals that actually becomes a best practice. It's not that we just send those publication, it goes through a peer review system and they like it. It seems to be like a very nice best practice that we've been created, to the point that when we developed the part B, when you come here, this is last year, of course, this is the second day of the hackathon. You will work in the auditorium, the Flexitorium in the AST building, 150. We configure the entire room for you. So you're going to work in what we call villages or challenges. And you have 1 day and a half to go. Actually, you have the entire day to go and complete a couple of pieces for that. So in other words, you can collect points for part B. So let me repeat this thing a little bit because I receive a couple of questions about this. So what is the difference between part A and part B? Part A, you develop your artifact. Part B, you collect points the day of the hackathon. The day of the hackathon, you go to this AST building the entire day with your team, and you collect points here. And then the combination between part A and part B gives you the winner the third day of the hackathon. This is an amazing configuration. We actually have the entire room. If you haven't been in the AST 150 in the Valle Verde campus, it's a huge community room where we have huge monitors. We configured, as you can see, this is a very close configuration. We have the tables, we have different challenges there, and this is the agenda that we have for the 3 days. Let me tell you a little bit. What I was talking about right now is the second day, the Friday day, right? So we have those um, we call villages, but in reality they're kind of like our challenges. You can see we have here on Friday adversarial thinking, hack the Turing, capture the flag from 9 pretty much all the way to lunch. And then during lunch, we usually bring a keynote speaker. They give us a motivational talk. And then you have your lunch. And then we last year what we did is that we run our very first datathon. As a matter of fact, I'll talk about the datathon in a little bit more. I have a set of slides that talk about datathon, but we have the very first one last year. And then we come out with secure coding, phishing awareness, and hack the city. Hack the city is the new challenge that we have. We have an actual real world model that basically is El Paso, Texas, downtown. And we give you 3 scenarios that might happen. You need to come up with a solution. Saturday is basically the team presentation, as I mentioned. One of the features we want to show is marketable skills and durable skills, how well you present your work, how well you work with your team. And of course, we have the closing ceremony and the awards. Let me talk about Thursday from the hackathon. I did spoke about this. I did talk about this a little bit, but the first day we call it day zero. Okay. Yes, in computing, we start counting from zero. That's why we call it day zero. But this day zero is when you start building your team. If you don't have a team, when you start strategize, we have some social event there, but also we have some workshops, highlighted workshops. Let me put it this way: we have experts in the area who have very good presentations that they want to give you during the hackathon. For example, you can see here, last year we gave Android exploitation workshop for educational purposes only. Okay, I really cannot emphasize enough the importance that I'm using the word for educational purposes, because they really show you how to, and I don't really like to use this word, but hack a system. In this case, will be an Android. If you have Android, they show you how to actually the vulnerabilities that your phone might have or your Android system. So, and I always tell the students that it's for education purposes. When people come here, they tell you the same thing. It's not for fun purposes, it's for educational purposes. They're because it is illegal what we show you there. So that's why we just show you this in order to recognize the good things and how to use it. Followed by that, we have usually a professional panel where we have industry from El Paso or Las Cruces, Ciudad Juarez, who come here and talk to us about what to expect when you graduate. So you graduate, and now what? Well, you graduate with this set of skills. Now you should apply for this, and that job in the industry. Very important. So last year we received a grant, an additional grant to bring Insight again as part of industry nights. They call it an industry night. Basically, they paid a couple of speakers to come here. They bought very good food for all of us. We like food, by the way, but we have a very nice panel from 5 p.m. almost to 9. We spent 4 hours there. And the crazy thing is that nobody wanted to eat because it was so engaged. The conversation was so engaged that the industry partners decide to stay there. It was supposed to be only 3 hours. They stay 1 extra hour. It was incredible. So this 3 day workshop, this 3 day hackathon is not only a competition, it's a preparation for you to, for the students, for the participants to recognize what's happening there in the region, what is the need, what are the professional skills we call professional dispositions for what you need to expect when you graduate, but also give you the real hands-on or experiential learning when you go and get your hands dirty on actual capture the flag. We call capture the flags this kind of competition. And on Saturday, you present in front of a judge, in front of several judges, and you present, you make your case why you did this and how you implement this for X, Y, and Z. And then we give you celebration and we give you a very nice awards and whatnot. It's a great 3 day workshops. As I said, we wrote a journal based on this, a journal paper. We submitted and got accepted in one of the journals in computing, and because people like this configuration a lot. So we're very proud of this event. Let me tell you a little bit about those villages. Adversarial thinking, it's one of the main aspects that we're actually working here in Hack the Border, because we recognize that when we deal with every single day situation, ideally we just want to solve the problem. Okay, fine. They pay you to do that, the job. But nowadays, there's a lot of cybersecurity and a lot of attacks. So it's not enough only to just build a solution. You need to build a solution with also considering how it will be cracked or hacked. Okay, so we need to create reliable software, reliable solutions that will consider how your enemy thinks, infuse those enemies' thoughts in the development and the design, development, and implementation of your problem and solutions. Okay, so based on that, then we said this is adversarial thinking. There was we've been having this workshop, not a workshop, sorry, this area for almost for the 3 last years, and it's been successful. We wanted to honor this past year to Alan Turing, the father of computer science. So we have a village called Hack the Turing. It's a game, by the way. If you don't know who Alan Turing is, it's the father of computer science, or is considered to be the father of computing, but he did a lot of AI work back in the day. He built what is called the the Turing test. And the Turing test is, can you recognize if it's an AI or not an AI machine in the other room? So this is relevant because as we speak nowadays, we use AI every single day. So we thought this might be a good idea to bring that, but also to educate the aspects of hack the Turing. So it was a very nice experiment. Students liked it, and it was part of a village. Another one, it was capture the flag, one of the most favorite ones. So capture the flag is a set of uh, problems and challenges that they're being programmed for you. So you go and follow a couple of instructions, and you go and collect points. So capture the flag, also known as CTF. They're very popular competitions around the world. And we have a very good one. Professor Kadichev, she and her team, they developed this series for months before they deploy it in the time of the hackathon. So they spend an enormous amount of high quality time to develop these challenges. So one of the most favorite, I think this is the favorite villages that we have during Hack the Border. I mentioned the Datathon. The Datathon was the very first time we sponsored it last year. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit more about the Datathon. And we have, as a matter of fact, let me see if it's in my next slide. No, it's not in my next slide. But I will talk about a little bit because a couple of weeks ago in the spring 2025, we developed the second Datathon, the official Datathon. But this was the pilot last year. We received, we wrote an R grant for El Paso Electric. We got funding, but not only that, we got funding to create a datathon. But the idea of the datathon is that to create a challenge that students were able to solve it with real world data. So El Paso Electric say, you know what, let us give you a couple of data sets. As a matter of fact, they give us a huge data set about El Paso Electric in the region. Okay. for almost 10 years of data. So you can imagine how big that file was. And they said, ask them to solve the problem during the datathon, and we will pay attention. The idea here is that we create a good partnership with El Paso Electric 1 year ago, saying, you know what, we can generate interns. We can generate students who are very good with data analytics and data science to use tools, technology, and maybe they can actually be recruited by El Paso Electric and go work as an intern, maybe two or maybe three interns, depending on how many good students you can generate. And we said challenging accepted, right? We took the challenge, so challenge accepted, and we start building our datathon. We start building our based on the data set that they give us. We start putting into the tools everything. So we started last year. It was an amazing. I'm gonna talk about a little bit more about datathon in a couple of slides, because I want to talk about, and also I want to make sure we have enough time to discuss further secure coding. For those who are in computer programming and software engineering and computer science, we have secure coding challenges. We give you a set of problems in order to identify the flaws, identify the bugs, the vulnerabilities, and then give a solution. Very exciting one. As a matter of fact, one of the most popular ones, because the majority of computer science, this is a good challenge to expose how well you've been learning your material. Phishing. So phishing is another village that we have. We give you a couple of examples about what is phishing. I don't know if you know. I think everybody knows that the number one problem for cybersecurity is not that they go and hack you, is that someone phish you. So it was through an email, through a text, you click that link that you shouldn't have. So we gave a couple of challenges for phishing to recognize if it's phishing or not. This is a very promising village that we have, and we're planning to have again this upcoming year in 2025, because there has been a lot of changes here, especially with AI. So we're working on phishing with AI challenges. So we want to continue with this one soon. And Hack the City is, again, our very first year last year, which we recognize a couple of the challenges scenarios that can happen in El Paso's downtown. So we were very lucky to collaborate with the architecture department, and they donate us, Professor Clark from the architecture department. They donated us an old model of El Paso, so city of El Paso. So what we did is that we took it to computer science. We painted, we put some Raspberry Pis on the back, and then we put a couple scenarios, and we identified that this is something that can happen in real life in El Paso, Texas. This horrible situation might happen, this circumstance might happen, maybe a couple circumstances can happen at the same times. What would you do? Go. And you have 1 hour to come up with a solution. So this solution is one of the favorites as well last year. People have a blast going to hack the city in order to solve. Now, why? Well, it's just only a model. It can happen anywhere else. I know. I understand that. But one of the areas that we wanted to emphasize is sense of belonging. You don't really need to know what sense of belonging is, but sense of belonging is a theory. It's a psychological theory where when you feel that you are part of a problem or a solution, you take it very serious. So we took advantage of that theory, and we come out with Hack the City in order to enhance sense of belonging, and great results appear after that. And so we're very excited about Hack the City as well. As I mentioned, this was part of last year's, and we have a couple of those themes. Now, we did talk about adversarial thinking. This past year, we talked a little bit about the misinformation, disinformation track. I want to be very conscious about the timing that we have. So I'm going to skip to the ones because we have Hack the City track, Holiday Panic, City in the Dark. We have both actually situations. There was one about AI generation detector. Many people complain about AI these days. We thought it was just challenging. One of the challenges was to create an AI generator detector. Okay, we was some three teams came up with a solution, and it was an amazing solution. Health analytics, we're going to expand this a little bit more because we're working with the health department. Hopefully, this new year, we can actually start working more closely because there's a lot of sensitive information in the health sector. So we want to expand a little bit more, and we have a challenge on that too. So we want to collaborate more interdisciplinary aspect and multidisciplinary, not only that, transdisciplinary between areas that we actually deal in now. And of course, cybersecurity is one of the top topics that we incorporate. Of course, what makes it awareness, from awareness to prevention, all the way to deployment. So those are the areas that we have. Now, I just want to talk about the datathon. The datathon, we got it this year. Okay, as a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago. And the reason why, I think I mentioned a past electric situation, but also we have our data analytics certificate. So if you didn't know, we have a very nice certificate that is composed by 4 classes in addition to the ones that you already take. This is an amazing way to enhance skills with something that is highly impacting in the border. So data analytics, if you try to find a job, they want some skills on data analytics. So we combine the datathon and the data analytics part in order to enhance this whole experience that you're facing. So the certificate, it's new, it's brand new. We just opened it this year at EPCC. We have a few students in the first year. We expect way more this upcoming year because you can add this certificate on top of whatever field you are. Okay, if you're computer science, computer programming is like natural because half of those courses you already have it because you took those courses before. If you are in criminal justice or some non-computing area, don't worry. Those 3 classes that I'm telling you is introduction to computing, a little bit of another one on introduction to spreadsheets, and of course, there's a variety of that. So if you can see, the data analytics is composed of the math for business, the COSC, introduction to computer programming, introduction to database programming, and of course spreadsheets. So there are a couple of courses who are actually, we're infusing data analytics on that. And this, if you can see right in the right hand side, says marketable skills: communication, critical thinking, computer security, technology, personnel responsibility. Those are the things that we believe we generate based on that because of the projects, because of the exposure of that in the data analytics. So the datathon this year was amazing. We received a couple of students participation from across not only our EPCC, but also we have students from high schools who attend that. So we have we had it on April the 25th, so a couple of weeks ago. It was a full day from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And then it was a blast. They needed to solve that problem that I told you that El Paso Electric gave us. We provide the resources. It was amazing event because you receive a badge, and the badge, in the back of the badge, you receive all this information: where you're going to get that data, how do you download, how to use those tools, and they're very good tools. I want to thank Dr. Andrew Ponuk, who helped us to provide the entire setup for the datathon, the tools, Google tools, the Google AI analytics. We show you how to use them very effectively. And that was for the El Paso Electric, but you can use it for any data set that you can get. So we show you how to solve problems, to visualize them, to clean it up based on the data, and then give a solution. We're very happy on that. Again, this is a joint work. This has been sponsored for El Paso Electric and of course Microsoft. But also we brought the professional societies, the regional professional societies like the Institute of Electric and Electronics Engineering, IEEE, and the ACM, that stands for the Association of Computing Machinery, the 2 largest association of professionals in computing in the world. The IEEE one, you might know, is if you see the people who have been part of that: Tesla, Edison, uh, even great scientists like Einstein were part of IEEE. So this is not just anything; it's the official IEEE one. We're very, very lucky to have those official societies here in El Paso. This is a redundant um, slide because this is what I just show you about the certificate that we have. I strongly recommend to consider that, to have it. To get a certificate is not too much time that you need to spend, maybe one more year, but you have a lot of skills that comes with that. And of course, this is a joint work for the Datathon. As I mentioned, Dr. Ponuk was actually the one who developed the Datathon, the challenge, and put it in the right setup and settings. But this wouldn't be possible without the organizers who are, you can see here. Yes, they are students. Interestingly speaking, they are students. All of them, they're students. And we believe in sense of belonging. So we thought, let's create a datathon that has the flavor of the students. So this is something that was designed, developed, and implemented by students for students from students. So this is an amazing experiment that we did, and of course, we met with them every week just to make sure everything was in the right track. That there was no things that they were not supposed to be, were supposed to be. Security, integrity, of course. There was supervision on that, but the reason why we wanted to have it this by students is because we want to make sure they encloses the essence of the youth in at EPCC. Now, for the hackathon, is also a similar situation. This is last year. Professor Karisheva, you can see in the right-hand side, is a computing professor as well, computer science, cybersecurity. She basically coordinates and develops the entire workshops and the coaches. Professor Isaac Perea and Rafael Escalante, they help us tremendously with the development of Hack the City. And we were very lucky to also to have Denise Maldonado, our professor, to help us to was volunteering, helping us in the development and the organizing this event last year. So last year we have coaches, which means our students helping other students in the actual villages, and this wouldn't be possible by having the coaches that you can see right here. They were assisting, some of them they were developing problems and solutions for the students in Hack the Border. And we have volunteers that they're always is always very important. So you can see that there's a recurrent um, names because they love what they do. Students, they're really engaged. This is last year they were volunteers. This year they I say you know what, professor, we want to do more. So we say, okay, so how about if you guys organize the datathon? So the majority of these names, as you can see, they were the volunteers from last year, and now they become the organizers. So even if you want to volunteer to learn how to do an event, there's room for you. Okay, so we're looking for that, and of course, we are very thankful to all our sponsors, to all our sponsors and funders from Hack the Border. As you can see here, it wouldn't be possible without the help of all of them here. So this concludes the presentation of Hack the Borders. Remember that this is part of the entire vision that we have here in the border to join both countries, both cultures, both intelligence into the same principle, which is create adversarial series for the border good through here in Hack the Border. And at this moment, if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Dr. Servin, for your wonderful presentation. So in the meantime, if anybody has any questions, you guys can put them in on the chat, or you can turn on your mic. For now, I'm going to go ahead and just say final thank yous, okay? But again, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and feel free to use either the mic or the chat box. So, of course, we would like to thank everyone for being a wonderful audience and for coming in today. And thank you, Dr. Servin, for a wonderful presentation. Please remember that we record these sessions. So if you'd like to review or share anything from this presentation, those recorded sessions can definitely help. Dr. Servin, we do have a question from Jacqueline Lopez. What programming languages would we have to know in advance?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I think I muted by mistake. That's a great question, Jacqueline. So depends of the problems. Some of them, for example, when you see the secure coding, those are in Java, but also we use a lot of Python. For the datathon, it's all in Python. Okay, so you need to know a little bit of Python, not so much, to be honest, not crazy too much, just enough for you to start connecting dots there. But for the secure coding, is definitely Java, and the reason why we have Java is because that is the programming language that we teach at the EPCC as an official one for programming. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Good question. Okay, she does have
Yeah.
another
No.
question. Where can I find all the information and dates to the events prior to hackathon and also the hackathon itself?
Yeah, great question. So if you go to hacktheborder.org, you will find, or if you Google hack the border, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna put the link at the in the chat. But if you go to hack the border at EPCC, we have a website at EPCC for hack the border. It's epcc.edu/events/hack the border. You will find the actual information about hack the border there, or you just go to hacktheborder.org. But EPCC hosts us this officially, and you will find information about all the events. Now, Hack the Border 4.0, it will be this upcoming November, right? It will be November. I forgot the date. I think it will be it's the week before Thanksgiving break, so it will be the 20th, November the 20th to the 22nd. So we start sending information through the EPCC community announcements as earlier as September. So we start bombarding you with all these invitations on September. Sometimes we start earlier, like late August, but that's where we start sending you all the information to be aware about that. Because remember, we provide the workshops in like 10 weeks before the actual hackathon. So usually it's in October. Oh, I forgot to mention the reason why we start in October is because October is the National Cyber Awareness Month. So we honor that month as well. So it's very significant to have all the workshops starting in October and part of November, and that actually help us to honor that specific area. It's a great question. Thank you so much.
And then just as a little note, if anybody needs help accessing the chat, so you would like this link or any of the links we've shared before, go ahead and just let us know and then we can help you do that as well. Okay, but any other questions? Okay, so in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start our closing. But again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to go ahead and post them, okay? So again, yeah, remember that these sessions are recorded. So if you know anybody who's interested in this session or interested in this topic, you can always go ahead and share that link. We did share the link for the previously recorded TVE sessions. And again, let me know if you would need access to that again. We did share that the Hanno Passport link so that everyone may receive their points for coming in today for this session. And I can share it again in case anybody missed that first link the first time. So this will be our last TVE session for spring 2025, but we will be back in the summer. So be on the lookout for the TVE schedule for those neat sections. This will be the one on the screen right now. This was the calendar for the spring semester. So our summer one will be a little shorter since there's less weeks for those semesters, but it should be something like this. So go ahead and be on the lookout for that schedule as well. So we hope to see you all again for Tejano virtual events, and we want to wish you all good luck for finals week. We hope everyone has a restful and safe weekend. And thank you again, Dr. Servin, and thank you everyone for coming in today.
Thank you, everybody. Happy coding, everyone.